1370.
19 turning 20.
Okay. So, maybe she just pays less taxes. Yeah, so there's $1,200 a month.
What?
When I first started my job, my only job, 38 years ago, my engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, engineering is a relatively high starting
Right.
salary. It was $13.71 an hour. That was like great. 1984.
In 2001, my first job, I was getting paid $12.02 an hour, plus $300 for a car.
Per month.
Yeah, it was $25,000 salary.
Okay,
I worked for Mayor Schwer.
take that 20 years later, and I also got started at $12 an hour. Doing HVAC.
All right.
Representing sheer. I wasn't.
Where is it? It's in New York. Which dinner? I'm saying it's in New York. Yeah. Yeah, very nice. All right. Are we ready to roll? Yeah. All right.
Could put it on the ballot to repeal.
All right. Good morning. Today is Daf Lamed Daled.
They're crazy there. I don't know.
All right. And the way so we left off yesterday on the top of Lamed Daled Amud Aleph. Maskif La Reb Zera. Is Eddie here today?
No.
No. All right. So
This? Yeah.
It's actually soft.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not very.
it's not exposed.
So,
So
I used to.
so we see that so the Gemara, we said in the beginning of the Masechta that a person goes ahead and he pays, even though he potentially could have gotten out of payment for watching this Pikadon, but he made a claim. He said, I'll pay for it. So, and therefore, once he pays for it, so he said then he basically acquires from the time when he took over the item, and therefore that's the reason why, he's able to go ahead and get the kefil. So we are 5 lines on the top of Lamed Daled Amud Aleph. It's a masper of Zera Ihaki Afilu Gazil Nami. If that's the case, if he acquires it completely, then all the shearings and it gives birth, he should also acquire it. Alamatanya, why do we learn that the shomer acquires everything except for the shearings and and it gives birth? No. It's like, in other words, when he pays him, then it's like he says, except for those things. So okay, so like you create a halacha, but you're making a specific situation. Do it in a general case without specific situations. So my answer is no. Some of the milsa something which comes from the outside. So that they'll go ahead and say, okay, you paid for it, you can get that, right? Because that really doesn't. That comes from the outside. However, but however, something that comes from the animal itself, that he's not necessarily giving over. And Ikadami, some of the different version, Amar Rava, Nasa Kaimer Lo Likshatigdai Vitirtsa. In other words, he says when he gives on the because he says when it's stolen, and Vitirtsa Vitishameni, he says, and if it's stolen, and then you want to go ahead and pay for it, right? Instead of swearing, right before it's stolen, it's given to you. So my benayu. So what's the nafkamin between these two different versions? So benayu kusha de Reb Zera. So one nafkamin is the kasha Reb Zera, because according to the second lashon there is no kasha, because we said because he acquires it right before it's stolen, and therefore there's no shearings or inami or the kami bagam or the animals in a marsh. If it's animals in a marsh, there's no way for him to go ahead and acquire it, and therefore, since there's no way to acquire it, so therefore, is because it wasn't in his chatzir, he can't be kainet, and therefore, he would not acquire the kefel. He would not get the kefel in that case, because once again, that the shomer never acquired. If he didn't acquire it, therefore, when the ganav is found and pays, it goes to the original owner, not to the shomer. Fine. 2 dots. Now we're going back in the Mishnah. We said Shilem. So remember, what was the case? The Mishnah, the first parak, the first Mishnah from Afkid. It said over there by Shemer Chinam, right? So if he wants to go ahead and pay, because he doesn't want to make a shvur, so just go pay for the article. But if he wants to go ahead, swear that there wasn't, that in other words, that there wasn't, what was a shvur. Right, so he says by Shemer Chinam,
Negligent.
or right, that he wasn't negligent, right, and therefore he'd be potter. So she doesn't necessarily actually have to pay. Once he says, I'm going to go ahead and pay, even if he doesn't go ahead and pay.
But the guy who gets found in the name.
Right. And then he still acquires it just by saying it. In other words, if he pays, he doesn't even have to pay. He just has to say, he has to commit that he's paying. So let's take a look if that's true. Let's check a look at our Mishnah. So Tanan, so says our Mishnah, if he goes out and he pays, he doesn't want to go ahead and make a shvua. So it sounds like Shilin dafka he paid, lo Shilin no. Then if he didn't pay, then he does not acquire it. And he doesn't, not even if he says it, so that's wrong. So he says, yem seifa. Nishba, if he swears because he doesn't want to go ahead and pay. So Tam de Ratza. Oh, Ratza, if he wants to pay, if he just said I'll pay, so it's masha that he just has to commit to it. From our Mishnah, we can't go ahead and really learn anything out. So, however, Tanya Kavasi Rabbi Yechon, we have a Bryce in support of Rabbi Yechon. He says, one who goes ahead and rents a cow from his friend. And it was now stolen. The Yamar Hala, and the guy says, Haredi, Mishalim, I'm going to go ahead and pay for it. The Nishba, and I prefer not to go ahead and swear.
Sofer doesn't have to pay for that.
I'm sorry?
Sofer's outside of Geneva and Veda.
The socher is Chayv and Geneva Veda.
Whatever he wants to pay, he has to pay.
So it's stolen. So maybe he could have said that what's it called? That there was an inus, right? In a nishba, right? Let me just take a look, right? It says the Mishnah. Huh?
Rashi explains it looks like.
Which in our case or over there? So obviously he's typing it, right? He's typing it. I mean, he writes the shakali shava shenensa, right? Like I said, right? The behindas hayanifta b'shua. He would be pater b'shua. Therefore, when he says it was stolen, he obligates himself a karen. Acquired him is the kefil, similar to our case. Now, so you pay double to the seicher. So he says. So what do you see over here? All he said was right. V'amar and amara. So you say just saying. We see according to Rabbi Yochanan, this is good enough. And Amarav Papa Shemer Chinam. Okay, now a free watcher. You're putter from everything, even getting a Veda, except for negligence. Kevin Shemer Pashati. Once he says, I was negligent, Makna Lekfeil, right? Then we give him the kefil, right? Now, then he acquires the kefil because he basically obligated himself. Because if he could have wanted, he could have just said it was stolen. Now a shemer sacher, a paid watchman, so kevan shamagnidav. Once he says it was stolen, where he's chayiv makna lekfela, he acquires the kefil if they find the ganav. He pays kefil. Diboy patanaf shay b'shvuru mesa. He could have made a claim that it broke or it died, and therefore he'd be pater. And shoel shamar haredi mishalev, and a borrower that says I will pay, lo makna lekfela. He does not get the kefil by him saying I will pay. Why is that? Because what could he have claimed to get himself off the hook? Remember, this is someone borrowing it for free. So, b'misa machmas malacha. What are you going to say? He could have claimed that, let's say I borrow something, and I borrow your animal to plow for free, and the animal dies while plowing. Do it exactly. So then I'm putter, right? So maybe you could have made that claim. So Mason machmas malacha. So when answer is Mason machmas malacha lo shkech. That is not common. Therefore, such a claim is not really shaykh, and therefore he doesn't have a claim, and therefore he doesn't acquire the kefil through just saying it. He would have to actually pay. And he can dami some different version of Amar of Papa Shel Nami. Even a borrower also Kevan Shamar, even if he just says Harini Mishalim, I'm going to go ahead and pay because it was my fault. He does acquire the kefil. Why? He can go ahead and pot himself by he could have claimed, it died from doing the work that that you knew I was going to go ahead and use it for. So Amar Le Rav Zvid Hachi Amar Abaye Shoyel Ad Shishalim. So a borrower is until he pays, not until he says he pays, but until he pays. So my timer, what's the reason? Since all the benefit is with him, right? Then he's borrowing it. The lender gets nothing in return, right? Just by talking, by just saying it, he's not acquired the kefil. All right, so around Lamed Daled Amud Aleph, around 80% of the way down, Tani Kavasi Rav Zvid. We have a price in support of Rav Zvid. Hashayel par mechaver v'nignava. One who goes ahead and borrows a cow from his friend, and it was stolen. The kidem hashayel v'shilem, and that the borrower went ahead and actually paid. All right, it says use the words v'kidem. We're gonna look at that lashon soon. The kidem hashayel v'shilem. Afterwards, the God of us found that the borrower goes ahead and gets it. So you say clearly he went ahead and paid it, and that's why he got it. According to the first lashon of Papa is not tiyufta, because according to that lashon, the shoyel does not acquire the kefil. However, lashon of Basra, let me do tiyufta. According to Basra, which said, oh, even if a shoyel just commits to saying, "I'll go ahead and pay," as opposed to actually paying, he acquires the kefil, so it's a tiyufta. So Papa, so mi'alim masnisin. I understand why is this any better than Mishnah? The Tani says over there Shilein. Where he says when our Mishnah says Shilein, so he needs to touch it says Shilein. So he says no. He means he doesn't actually pay. He just means he said he was going to pay. That's good enough. So Hachinami. So to in this case, so to in this case it means he said he was going to pay. He didn't actually go ahead and pay. So the Gemara says, "Mi dami." How can you compare the two? Hasam like Katani Kidem. Over there in the Mishnah just said Shilein. So you can say I will go. I said I'll go ahead and pay. However, Haka, in this case, Ketani, Kidem. Over here it says Kidem, my Kidem. So it says Kidem sounds like he went up and paid. So my Kidem. Kidem Amar maybe means that he went and he initiated saying it, but it didn't initiate paying it. So Gemara says, Hamakani Gabi Seicher, but it says by the Seicher, by the renter, it says V'Amar. The Gabi Shoyel, Kidem. So it sounds like by the Seicher, by the renter, it uses the word say. Right? But Shoyel, it says he went ahead and paid, right? So obviously it doesn't mean that he just said it, it means he actually paid it. Shmami no, let's learn from there. Shmami no, let's learn this, it means Badafka. So the Gemara says, Mide Gabi Hadadi, Tanya. I understand. It's two different brises. So it's not necessarily the same author. So you can't compare and contrast. Oh, this one's used Kidem, this one's Shilem. Maybe the one who wrote Kidem meant Kidem V'Yamar, and therefore you can't bring it as a kasha. Tonight, and they asked those who wrote the brises of Reb Chia, Rabbi Yishia, and he says, Gabi Adadi Tanita. No, actually they were written together, and therefore you could be Meduyak and Lashon Kidem. That Kidem means Kidem v'Shilem, and not Kidem v'Amar. Now, 2 lines in the bottom. Shita Amar Haredi. Excuse me. Now we're going through a whole series of questions until the 2 dots on the next page. So the guy says, okay, so let's go back to the case. The guy is, we'll go to the case of our Mishnah, where he is a Shomer, or he's a Shomer Chino, I think, in a Mishnah, right? Huh?
Yeah.
Right. He's watching it for free. So he just has to make a shvur that he was not, that he was not negligent, right? So, and he chooses to pay. So Pshita Amar Eini Mishalem, I'm not going to go ahead and pay. In other words, I'll go ahead and make a shul of Chazavi Amar Hareini Mishalem. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pay. So remember, according to the opinion, if he just says I'm going to go ahead and pay, he acquires the double payment if it's stolen and they found the ganav. So just by saying it. So if he says I'm not going to pay, and then he retracts, he says you're not going to pay. How come Hareini Mishalem? Well, he retracted. He already says he's going to go ahead and pay, and therefore he acquires the kefil. Elo Amar, but let's say the opposite. Amar Hareini Mishalem v'chazar. Let's say first he says, I'm going to go ahead and pay. And then he says, you know what? I'm not going to pay. I'm making a shvur that I wasn't negligent and I'm patur. So and do we say mother kohadr? Do we say he was chayzer and therefore he does not acquire the kefil? Or dilma the mil sekai with the or maybe it means that really he's going to pay. When he says I'm not going to pay, he's just trying to buy himself time, but really he does acquire the kefil. Or next case, he says I'm going to go ahead and pay. Umeis. So he says, I'm going to die. Now, I'm not going to die. He says, I'm going to go ahead and pay. So this is the paid the guy who's the Shemer Chinam. So he says, I'm going to go ahead and pay instead of making a shvua, and therefore he does not acquire the kefil. But then he dies. Who makes the Amr Banav? Should I say the wrong way? He says, I'm going to go ahead and pay, which will make him acquire the kefil. And then he died, and then his kids say, "Oh, he didn't pay yet. Hey, no, we're not paying." So, what do we say there? Me, I'm reading.
They can't finish war because they don't know.
Right. So me, I'm reading. Do we say Ma'ader Kol Hadar Behu? They're a chayzer, and therefore, what's it called? They're not going to go ahead and.
Yeah, for that guy.
So you say in that case they can't make the shvua. A Dilma, but Milsa Davuan Kami the or maybe it means right. Maybe they're being chayzer. Let's just for Rash for a second. No, Shalom Banim, Banim. Right. So, no, I didn't look at the notes or anything. But all right. So let's say they said, no, we're not going to go ahead and pay. I'm trying to think if he can force them to pay. Right. Maybe can't even enforce them. Maybe something by the based by the shemer has to make, but they go ahead and make a shvua. Anyway, so but the nice news is the item was returned. So and someone gets paid back kefil. So do we say me? I'm in the mother call hadamu a dilma. Or maybe they're just trying to buy themselves time by saying we're not going to go ahead and pay. And what about this? Shalmu banim. Let's say they went actually and they paid. So what about that case, right? And so we do matzi. However, do we say this? No. The reason, as we started off the shir today, right? In other words, he basically says, with your payment, I'm going to be knocking over to you the kefil. But over here, he's just saying, I'm knocking over the kefil because the person watched my item for free. So therefore, he did me a favor. I'm going to do him a favor, give him the kefil. But you guys, the kids, he didn't do me any favors. Doesn't make a difference. Or about this case, Shilei Labanim. So let's say the guy went ahead and he paid, right? And normally he acquires the kefil, but the owner of the object died, and therefore it was paid to his kids. So Matzi Amrule, can they say to him, Kiakni Vuna Kfela, Deavitole Noach Nafshe. Right? In other words, our father, he was the one who gave you the kefil. But you never did us any favors. There's no difference. Or let's say they both died, the shemer and the owner. Right? So do we say that the actual payment works? So do we say the actual payment works, and therefore the shemer's kids acquire the kefil? Do we say the other way? Or shile mechza? Or what about they say paid for half of it, and now there's kefil there? So do we say, or what about shal shtei paros? Right, when he goes ahead and he borrows 2 cows, the shilei achazman, he pays for one of them. So or shalmin shutfin, or he goes ahead and he pays and he borrowed from partners. The shilei nachman, he only paid one partner. Does he acquire that kefil from that side or not? Or shutfin shishalo the shilei nachman? Or what about shutfin that borrowed, right? And then one of them went ahead and paid their share. So does that person get the, if they find the ganim, get the kefil? Or shalmin isha? Or let's say one borrows for the nichsei malug of the woman, the shilei l'mbala, right? So in other words, even though she owns it, but it was paid to the husband, but it wasn't necessarily paid to the owner, the nichsei malug, he just has the rights to the parents, Or what isha shala, or a woman that borrowed the shilei l'mbala, and her husband went ahead and paid, right? Does he acquire the kefil? It would have been her. So all these cases, take him. Fine. All right, so smack in the middle of Lamed Dalet and Beis, Amar Rav Huna, Mashvin Oiso Shvua Sheina Bershusa. You make the guy make a shvua that it's not in his possession. In other words, a guy goes ahead and he's watching an object, and he says, "No,
He never likes to watch.
but then it's just all right."
It sounded like
No.
sounded like a cleanup.
Anyway, all right. So he's saying in this case. So now, normally the person says, "You know what? The object I was negligent, and here's the money." All right. So you asked me to watch your bike, cool bike. I really like it. You come back to where's the bike? You know what? I'm so sorry. I lost it. Here's your $100. But really, you can't really get this bike. I just wanted to take it from you. So I have to make a shvua, right? She'ena b'shuso, that it's not in my rishus, right? We have to make a shvua that the bike is not around anymore. So my time, what's the reason? We're worried that perhaps the guy wants it and he's willing to pay for it. Obviously, the owner doesn't want to sell it. So what's a good way of buying something without the seller wanting to sell it? If basically the guy just says, "Oh yeah, I destroyed it or I lost it," then here's the money for it. So Meisve, as we catch from a long Mishnah, so it says Hamalvas Chaveiro ala Mashkon. Right, we're gonna have several cases here. Let's try and hold cup. Hamalvas Chaveiro ala Mashkon, the Ovad Hamashkon. So a person went ahead and lent money to his friend Al Mashkon. So the lender now took the collateral. Right. Let's think about this case. It's a good case. So all of a sudden the lender lost the collateral. V'yamar lo, and he says to him, now this is the lender saying, Sella hivasicha. Right, Mayor, we'll go to you. So I said, I lent you a sella. We will call a sella a $2 bill. All right. So he said, I lent you a sella, hivasicha, alav, and shekel havishava. And I lent you a $2. $2. And the collateral, right, that I was holding on to of yours was only worth $1. So therefore, shekel havishava, v'hala amar lo. And so therefore you stole me $1, right? You really owe me $2, but I lost your collateral. My apologies. Now give me, you owe me $1. And Amar says, "Lo, kiela selavisani alav selayashava." Meir says, "No. I borrowed $2, and that thing you're watching was worth $2. So therefore, I owe you $0. So pater. There's pater in this case. Why? No case of modern mitzvahs, right? There's no admission to a partial claim. You're saying I owe you $0 unless I bring proof. Otherwise, pater. All right. That's one case. We're going to bring several cases. Now, next case, very similar case. Let's say to you, Mayor, I gave you a $2 bill. I gave you a selah. And I took collateral for a shekel. You owe me $1. Hello, Mayor responds, "Lo, kiela sela hivasani." Yes, I borrowed $2, Allah, and shloisha dinarim haya shava. It was worth $1.50. So I'm claiming Mayor owes me $1. Mayor is claiming no. I don't owe you. Mayor is saying no. You don't. I don't owe you $1. I only owe you 50 cents. You're being made of a mitzvah. So therefore, you're a chai for a shvuah. Chayiv Salavis on your love. So Chayiv in that case he says Salavis on your love. Shlosh dinar hayashava Chayiv. Now Salavis on Allah Beis Allah Beis hayashava. So he said. Now the next case he says to him, now Mayor comes to me. Mayor says I borrowed $2 from you, and I gave you. Right, collateral for $4, right? So now the tables are turned, right? I owe Mayor, right? Because Mayor only borrowed $2, and I had lost his $4 object. So he's an Allah, Bezayashav, Vaholam, and I said, "Lo, Kiela Sela, Vasikala, Vaselia No. I lent you $2, and the collateral's worth, and it was worth $2, and therefore we're even. So Potter, however. Mayor says, Mayor said, I borrowed $2 from you. Excuse me, I borrowed a seller from you, and the collateral I gave you was $4. Same claim. He says, no, Mayor, I lent you $2, and it was worth $2.50. Right? So therefore, I have to make a shua because you're saying I owe you $2. I'm saying I only owe you $1, right? I'm saying you less. So now, who is the one who makes the shvuah in this case? Here's going to come the punchline. Yoel is always making the shvuah. Now, because why? Because what's going to happen? Perhaps Mayor is going to swear. Let's say if Mayor makes the shvuah, what the collateral, what the collateral is worth, and I actually know where it is. I could go ahead and produce and show that Mayor's a liar. If I show Mayor's a liar, he's going to be puzzled from swearing in Beis Din. So we don't want to corner Mayor in such a case. So therefore, the one who has the pikadon, he's the one who makes the shua. So now the Gemara says, which case are we talking about? Ilema seifa. If we're talking about the seifa where I'm the one who's made the mixes, the table of the shua gabi malvahi, right? Dahaka Maiden makes it Sataina, right? Understand, right? So Elam or Shmuel, or I just say that it's the Shvua is also by the Malva because you don't need that case. You don't need the reason of I might prove they're a liar. Just say, since I'm the one who's made the mitzvahs, right? So therefore I make a Shvua. So Elam or Shmuel, a ratio is always going the ratio. So my ratio, save the ratio, where in the case of the Moedim mitzvahs of Seli, the Sicha love, where it says over there, I lent you $2. And I love shekel hayashava, and then the collateral is worth only $1, therefore you owe me a buck, Mayor. Mayor lo kiela silvisani velovish. Mayor says no, it was worth $1.50, only 50 cents. Hayashava. Kai, if you're chai, if the shvua gavi loivehu. All right, because the shvua is now by the bower, therefore you make the shvua. But really, since you make the shvua, I should make the shvua because we don't want to prove that you're a liar. Right, and then therefore says, even though you're the one who's made the mitzvahs, I'm the one who makes the shvuah to go ahead and collect the object in order that you're not proven a liar. Now, what's the kasha that we just built up to? V'misa, and if there's taka, a new shvuah, every case is made where the guy who had the collateral has to make a shvuah. It's not by him. Isa the Rav Huna, Keva and the Mishtava. Once I make a shvua that it's no longer in existence, why are we worried about I'm going to go ahead and produce the collateral and make Mayor proven a liar? I'll be proven a liar because I just swore that the object is missing. No, it doesn't mean because there's witnesses that it got destroyed. And therefore, I don't have to make a shvua that I still have it. Once if it's got destroyed, make him Isila. How am I going to go ahead and produce it and to prove Mayor liar? Some Rav Yosef, about their witnesses that were stolen. So I saw make him Isila. How are you going to go ahead and find it? So the Torah Isila. No. So if I want to go ahead and prove Mayor liar, I'm going to go ahead and find it. So Well, I understand if I swear that I don't have it or the value it's worth, maybe Mayor will go ahead and find it. Nami the Torah release it. The Torah says no. So the one who's watching the lender, since he's holding out the collateral, he knows who's been around the object. Therefore, I'm going to be able to go ahead and investigate and find it. But Mayor, the borrower who just gave it to me, has no idea whatever happened to it. The Malva, he doesn't know, he has no idea who's going to go. So therefore, if I go ahead and say what the value, Mayor can't go ahead and produce it because he has no idea what my collateral is. If Mayor swears on its value, then I can go ahead and perhaps find it and prove him a liar. Therefore, in that case, that the one who doesn't have the object, actually the one who has the object, he's the one who makes the shvuah. All right, we'll stop here. Everybody, tomorrow, have a wonderful day.